welcome to the live. Oof, boy, do I have a lot on my mind, but I actually don't even know where to start. Other than get excited, baby, because it's your time. It's your turn now. The world is changing, tables are turning, and honestly, I'm excited. I've been telling my daughter, she's 19, and she's like, I just want everything to be fine. She's just getting to the groove of her young adultness and, what she could achieve, what she could become. And I'm just like, burn this motherfucker down. Because I want change, I'm actually very much, I'm hurt by the climate of the nation in regards to Black people, the Black community. And I mean that as in individual Blacks and the community as a whole. I'm hurt that there is so much animosity towards us. Even still, even when we did nothing, hands up, don't shoot. Like, how are Black people in the center of the CK assassination when we weren't even there? We weren't there. There was no like, we have to stop him. There was nothing, zero. Okay, other than maybe somebody who debated him personally, right? There was no movement against him at all. And then somehow, as soon as he is capped in the neck, as he speaks negatively on Black people specifically, then it's our fault. No, if you ask me, it was a poetic act of God. Okay, and I'm not for the celebration, because some of the things that were sick to me, but I'm pretty sure it was white people who did it, and I'm not going to correct myself. I'm pretty sure it was white people who did it. Is like the pictures of him like leaning and the art that they've created, and like that is distasteful. Okay, that is simply distasteful. Okay, so and honestly, I was disturbed just to even see that. I don't like that. Okay, but other than that, it's definitely something to look at, to see, to recognize. When someone gets assassinated as they talk shit, okay, bro, like, Yordi says, damn, I used to be white. I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but I don't know, maybe you're changing size. Like, no, there's gotta be something else in this ancestry, because ain't no way I'm a part of this. I feel ya, brother. Okay, because I wouldn't want to be associated with such ignorance either. I told myself, we just gonna chat, and then I might pull some cards and just see what the spirits say. I actually, at my 11:11 prayer, I pray every day, twice a day. I was praying, and I told God, I said in the comments, because I've been making responses in the comments, right? And getting my feelings hurt by just meanness, right? I was like, I'm gonna start calling them niggers, because that's a nigger is defined in the dictionary is an ignorant person, and I am seeing such niggerdom, okay, in the comment sections of these videos responses, right? But I think the thing that is most hurtful, and maybe it has to do with, maybe I'm talking to younger people or something, or is just the people saying, you were never oppressed. You're always just complaining. No one did anything to you. And it's like, yes, TC, you are a nigger. Absolutely. So, saying things like that and when there is hardcore evidence of the oppression of Black people in this country, and for people to like deny it like it never happened, that is niggerdom. You know what I'm saying? That's pure fucking ignorance, because it's obvious, you know, and you may not understand the connection. Now, I can understand, you may not understand how, you know, we went from why we're still oppressed now, but that's only because of how things are skewed. That's only because you're not looking at it. It's because you don't care, honestly. That's kind of what I'm getting from my white counterparts, is they just don't care about Black people. They don't want to hear about it. I saw some commentary, and somebody said it very well. They're basically saying, like, you know, we're not trying to erase Black history. They're trying to erase white history. White people don't want to face the fact that they're savage as fuck. You know, that they act demonic in regards to other people. I'm not even going to say just Black people, because you don't just hurt Black people. You guys hurt each other. You hurt your children. Okay? So, you know, that needs to be addressed for sure if we want peace. But the thing is that I don't think the elite, I'm not going to say the people, I don't think the elite want peace. The elite want to keep us, you know, quarreling. You know, they suck our energy. So I've kind of like trying to like redirect my focus, even though every single post is about it, right? But I'm trying to like redirect my energy back to self and personal development. Luke says, not everybody is hateful. You can report all you want, okay? So you're going to report me and then agree. Wow, thanks, Luke. Niggerdom is out of control these days, okay? It's out of control. People are insane. But yeah, I definitely feel like it's an elite issue. Now that is something that I totally agree. I don't believe that poor white people are attacking me. I think that poor white people have a negative view of Black people, but it has everything to do with our society. This is a white supremacist society. And so I believe that if we're going to have a war on anything, it needs to be a war on white supremacy. And all you have to do is just tell the truth. All you have to do is tell the truth and facts of what actually happened. Acknowledge it from the government level and make peace. Make peace with Black people. Honestly, we're peaceful as fuck. Okay? The only reason they're talking about, and I'm sorry this video, if you're watching from start to finish, is like, because it's not scripted. Okay? But Black people are peaceful as fuck by nature. The only reason why we have Black on Black crime is because of white supremacy, okay? Because of capitalism as well. They go hand in hand, and, you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world that we live in, so of course the dogs are going to eat the dogs, okay? It's the world that we freaking live in. And so if you're broke, you're going to go get you some money. If you're about to get evicted, yeah, if you can commit fraud, okay? And all these things that our dear loved president has done. So let's not act like it's so immoral, right? You're going to commit fraud. You're going to try to rob a bank. You'll rob a person if you're desperate to get your needs met. You know what I mean? So that is what's going on in the Black community, is that we still have a damn boot on our neck, okay? If we had our own land, then if we had been giving what was promised to us, then you guys could say, well, we gave you your 40 acres and a mule. And I don't know if that really makes up for shit, okay? I don't know. Because, see, the thing is that even after slavery, then there was Jim Crow laws. So after slavery ends, right? But Black people don't even know. There's no fucking internet to say, you're free, you can just walk off. Hell no. And how many Black people were gunned down by their owners, previous owners, trying to walk off the plantation? But most of them actually most of them actually stayed. That's why then they became sharecroppers, right? Is because where the fuck were they supposed to go? They didn't have any land and it was not safe. So yeah, it was better to stay with Massa and his wife where the only thing that they knew. You know what I mean? So it's like we got another generation or two that stays right there on the plantation, okay? And then it's dangerous as fuck. Jim Crow laws, and I think there was another guy named Crowley, but one of the guys, I think the Jim Crows were like made everything whites only, and then the Crowley guy, the Crowley guy was during slavery, and he is the one who said to put man against woman, put young against old, you know, just putting things in our minds to deteriorate us, okay? You have to understand that people were born into enslavement. So it wasn't like we didn't have any previous knowledge of anything else. I heard today that it only takes 2 to 3 generations to like completely erase their history. So all it takes is 2 to 3 generations for us to be like really not know like where we came from. You just get told like you're born on a damn farm and everybody got to go to work and that's massa. I mean, that's life. You know what I'm saying? And then people get killed. You know what I'm saying? People get killed as soon as you try to rebel. Anytime a person said, I'm a real boy, his ass is getting fucked up. Okay? And then other people see that. And so we were truly in fear. And that's honestly, we're still in fear. I'm not going to say like if a crazy black man on the street, I'm going to be scared too. Okay? Because people's mental health be off. Okay? But, you know, I do deliveries. And sometimes it's in the middle of the night and in rural areas. I'm in Texas. And I'd be nervous. I'd be nervous someone will straight up shoot me. Okay? You know, now, you know, because I would actually be more of the person who would harm me. I would think would actually be somebody who's more of a villain, not just like, oh my God, I surprised. I mean, you know, you're getting a delivery, right? It's shit's on your phone. But yeah, I would be afraid. I walk onto a lot of people's properties that have like Trump flags and stuff. And I will say, and this is why I don't call for the slaughtering of the genocides of other people. I do not call for that because, you know, everybody's been nice to me. Okay. In fact, I'm kind of getting the I'm a safe wife person type energy. Like when I see them, I have 2 jobs. So it's like if I see them delivering, then they're like, oh, thank you so much, you know? And then if I see them in the store, it's like, oh, good morning, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm not going to say like, oh, I think every white person's a villain. I really don't, because I like my coworkers. I do. And I don't think they have bad hearts. I think they may have misunderstanding. I would never have this kind of conversation with a coworker. No, I would never feel safe because I wouldn't want to see their true colors. Then we can't be fucking friends if you tell me, well, if you just pull up your bootstraps, then maybe your people will be all right. Girl, please get away from me. We can't be friends enough. As soon as you say some crazy shit like that, no. Okay? But power to the people. That's what I call this message. So, and this is for any person, okay? Be a free thinker. Think for yourself and focus on personal development. You cannot make another person do anything. You can't change their mind. I had a husband. I had a husband once, okay? I was with that man from 15 years old to 31 years old. You can't change a person. It doesn't matter how you say it. It doesn't matter how you try to nurture it. Black people cannot shuck and jive their way into the respect of white people. You know what I'm saying? And nor can Black people blatantly ignore the history of what's happened. You know, it's like I just said, if a white person blatantly denies the oppression of Black people, I'm not going to like them anymore. Okay? And you can't change my mind on that. But so focus on yourself, because the only thing that you can change is yourself. Okay? All this, the world should be like this, the world should be like that. Well, then become that. And your world will become, however, you will magnetize the energy that you want to see. Trying to impose your will on others is just wrong. It's alchemically incorrect. It's not in alignment with universal law. Okay, so people think whatever energy you put out is the energy you're going to get back. That's universal law. What goes up is going to come down. We can't escape that. Okay, and so focus on being in the energy you want to be in. If you're one of those people who it's like, I don't see color and I just want everybody to be happy, I just want my little house and my horse and my groceries, then baby, focus on that. Okay, focus on your personal health, focus on emitting the love that you want to receive. Like, I'm just trying to raise my family. Baby, do that. Just raise your family then. You know what I'm saying? Stop looking over at your neighbor's house to figure out how they're raising their family, unless you see them beating their kids or harming animals or something like that. Leave them alone. Okay? Leave them alone. It's not going to hurt you. It's funny because I joke with my daughter. I'm like, the world's problems would be solved if everybody would just mind their business. Like, why are we trying to impose our will on others? Okay? If you don't like black people, stay away from them. Live in an area, get your money up, okay, and go live. There's plenty of PWIs, primarily white institution. There's plenty of spaces where you don't have to be around black people, okay? But trying to exterminate black people, oh, that's genocide, okay? And, Trump made a point. I don't even know exactly what he was talking about, but I think I know. He was talking about how they deported the Mexicans, right? And then they basically wanted to put black people in the fields. And it enlightened me to the fact that on a mass scale, white people do need us to run they need somebody brown to run their agriculture, like somebody's got to be out there in that sun. Okay, now I know things are more industrialized now, right? But the Mexicans, migrant farm workers, I don't know exactly what their job is, but I know it's important. Okay, I know it's important. I'm not smoking anything, Bryce. Actually, in light of these the current events, I have decided to quit smoking and stop eating meat and return to nature. Okay, so baby, I'm not smoking nothing. I've never been on a farm. You're right. I'm from California. Okay, I'm a city girl born in San Francisco. Okay, so I've never been on a farm. But I desire to do some farming though, because I'm a nature girl. But what I'm saying is that Trump had made a statement about how brown people, okay, are necessary to get out there in that sun so that we can have the produce that we have in this country. And that made me think, like, you're absolutely the fuck right. And it also made me think, like, ain't no way that America would not be what it is without black and brown people in the fields working that agriculture. We wouldn't be eating like we are, I guess you could have your garden, but we wouldn't be able to go to the grocery store. So, but I'm just talking though, kind of in a circle. That brings me back to self-empowerment. As much as I want to be upset or, like start a movement, the movement is within. The movement starts within. And if you want to see a better world, be a better world. It's okay. My thoughts on Charlie Kirk. Well, I originally heard, I don't feel like, I'm not going to debate. This is my platform. I'm not going to do that. Okay. I might respond to some things, but if you're going to be disrespectful to me, no. Okay, it's midnight. I'm tired. Okay. But my thoughts on Charlie Kirk are that I originally kind of watched a bunch of videos. This is years ago, though. He kind of caught my attention because he was talking about like kids. I think the very first thing I saw, he was like, do you think that kids should get puberty blockers, you know, to change their sex? And my answer as a mother, hell no. So I was watching. I'm not speaking facts. I'm speaking from my perspective, and I'm sharing my thoughts, Bryce. So I'm not here to debate or prove anything. I'm just here to talk. And if you want to stay here, I appreciate you. Okay. So yeah, I originally ever saw him years ago, and he was talking about like, do I think kids should have access to puberty blockers? You know, and he was debating kids on the campus. So I like those points, right? Because, you know, in that perspective, I don't think kids should have access to puberty blockers. Okay. But I think I watched a bunch of videos, and then we got to talking about black people, and that's when I was like, because as a white man, he does, and from the way he was talking, it's one thing if he had more of a compassionate perspective and was just trying to like share, but it was very, you know, and so it was hurtful. Like it hurts me personally when people talk negatively about the black community. It hurts me when black people talk negatively about the black community. Like when they be like, I agree, you know, if it was, it's the fatherlessness, it's this, it's that. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up, you coon. Okay. Like you're no. Okay. You're not looking at the big picture. You're not understanding what's really happening. And it's, you know, there's the black white issue, but like we had talked about before, is that it's the elites. Like the system is controlled. It's not like, oh, these are people's opinions. No, like it's a system. You know what I mean? And so I've been woke for about 10 years now. And so I've gotten a lot of, I've heard a lot of noise. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just see things from a different perspective, and I just would never talk about my people in front of others. Like, black people, we can get to a room and be like, this is the problem, all night long. But to do it in front of the people who hate us and laugh at us, that is self-hate. Okay? And that's something I don't participate in. I am all about self-love, no matter who you are. Love yourself. You know why? Because the more you love yourself, you don't have room for hating others. Even if you don't like what they do, it's like you don't feel affected. Even like about your spiritual ascension. You know, people are like talking about Christianity. And it's like, another man don't affect your salvation. You know what I'm saying? What the next guy next door is not affecting your personal relationship with Jesus, if that's what you believe in. You know what I'm saying? I think it's funny how you put a nose there. Okay, are you trying to make fun of my appearance? Are you being a nigger again? Because is that what you're doing? You're being a nigger? This is my face. So it's bad, it's ugly, it's monkey-like or something? Is that what you're trying to say, the wise gamer 08? You're trying to make fun of me while I'm basically just trying to make sense of the world and sharing my perspective on my platform? Okay. Well, explain that. What's the nose about then, since that's not it? Bryce, you don't have to be here. Okay? You don't have to be here. So so that's what I wanted to say too. I don't agree that Jesus is God, though. So that's another point. But what I wanted to say is that all these white people talking about, it's the Christian way, he was a godly man. Now, I am 37 years old, okay? I grew up in Bay Area, California. And I have been in the church my whole life, up until the point that I left the church, you know, as an adult. I was raised in the church. Sunday, Bible study, we didn't miss it. Okay? I used to be bored and mad. We did not miss that church. I grew up because my parents are well-to-do, I grew up and I went to private schools, okay? I was raised around a lot of white people. I had a lot of white friends. They don't know God. I ain't never known a white person to go to church. Okay? I ain't never known a white person to go to church and make Jesus Christ the center of their world. In fact, I have only had conversations. That's not true because I got a coworker who loves God. But so let me back that up. For the most part, okay, I've only known white people to be skeptical of church and God and basically say they don't believe in it. They're like, why would a book, like, they damn near make more sense than black people, like, Jesus, 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 right? Can't take them off Jesus, Lord. If I try to tell them that, if I try to tell a black person Christianity ain't real, a problem, right? But I've never had white people go this hard for Christianity in my 37 years, okay? What made me leave the church, you want to know what made me leave the church? I'll tell you, I got a story about it. Because I was, even as an adult, I had my first baby when I was 18. I married their dad, so you could know. I was married. Okay. Now, I did leave him because he got real narcissistic. And I suggest anybody who's not being treated well in a marriage or a relationship to leave. Okay. And I only said that is because she's a single mom. Yeah, by choice. Okay. If I want my nigga back, I can have him. I'm actually still married, but anyways, what was the point of that? Oh, what made me leave the church? Great. What the hell? What made me leave the church is that, I was about 24 because I had just had baby 3. And, that's when I started having these huge ass awakenings. And one day I just decided to Google, who are black people in the Bible? Baby, the rabbit hole is deep. I mean, when I tell you my mind was blown, I was a churchgoer. I actually had a white pastor. His name was Pastor Tom. And it was a First Baptist church. I was always been a Baptist. I could not believe that, because what I discovered is that the black people were the Hebrew Israelites, like true Israel, like the chosen people. Like if black people are anybody in that Bible, they are the chosen people. And this is coming from someone who doesn't use the Bible the same way she used to. Okay? But it's like, if we're going to refer to it, that's who we are. And period. No fucking argument. Okay? If you know anything about the Bible, you know, if you ain't never read it. And so anyways, based on that, okay, I pulled my kids out of the school. Okay? I think I had a first grader and a new kindergartner. I homeschooled for our whole elementary school. Okay? Until I left my husband. That's when I put the kids back in school. I homeschooled. I was teaching my kids how to speak Hebrew. We was doing daily affirmations. I was teaching Afrocentric history. I am not a regular person. I am not a sleepy person. Once I woke up, I was woke. Okay, I made changes. Once I believed something different, I changed my life. Okay, and I was very devoted to Hebrew Israelitism. We stopped eating pork. Okay, man, I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. I was in there cooking for real. I was making matzah. Okay, everything. And And so that's why I left the church. Before I left the church, I talked to Pastor Tom about 2 hours. I talked his ear off. I know he was pissed off because I was like, I was praying with that man every day after church. I'm a musician, and I stopped doing music because I didn't feel like the music and the writing that was coming out of me was honorable to Jesus. Like, I was like, my content is so sexualized. Like, I'm a mother. You know, I had that mind. I feared the Lord. You understand? And so I used to be praying because my husband and I had a studio. I used to be praying every Sunday with that man. And it's like, he never told me the truth about my divine inheritance. So after I had that conversation, I never went back to church. And sometimes I like miss the act of going to church, like getting dressed up and being able to fellowship. Like, that is like fun. Okay. But I can't go because, bro, the doctrine is not in alignment with my understanding. I have a higher level understanding than what the church teaches, and I just can't sit in there. So yeah. So that's why I left the church, Quinn Welch. Am I saying that Black people are the only saved divine people? No. But as far as the people who got cast away and had to were cursed for 400 years and were beaten, and then they lost their knowledge of who they are, and that God will come back and redeem them, that would be Black people in America. Okay, now there's lots of different doctrines. Okay, because they say, you know, there's 12 tribes, so they say that Black America is Judah, South America is Qatar, and that they're like each nation, because, you know, there's Black people on every space of the earth. So the 12 tribes, you know, they say we're all over the place. And I do believe that. It just keeps getting fucking proven to me. Like, even like the fact that bruh man got capped in the neck as he spoke, I really felt like that was the table turning. But you know what? The first table turn I felt earlier this year, and I know that you're going to think this is insensitive, but I do have sympathy and empathy for those people, and I shed my own tears for that. But I also see it as the tables turning. How them little girls got washed away in Texas. That's the first time I ever seen a group of little white girls get killed like that. Okay? That was God. And some Christians, you gotta look at that. Why God didn't save them little girls. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just feeling like we've been literally tortured in this fucking country. Okay? We've been literally tortured here. And the reason why Black people are not like rising up, even with the lynching of the 2 men, okay, who were lynched in Mississippi, or suicide, I don't know, but it's already multiple stories coming about the Trey guy. I can't remember his last name at the moment. I'm thinking that his name is Trey, and the other guy, he's 36. Those are the 2 things that I can remember. And so, you know, I feel like that could be the elites, because I really don't, like, regular people have to go to work every day. So I don't really think that anybody has time and energy to go hating on the next. Maybe, but the elites definitely have time to go pay somebody to do something. You know what I'm saying? Or to do it themselves or whatever. However they be doing stuff. I have a Freemason family, so I know all about their fucking tactics, yo. It's sick. You know, and it's like, I've been thinking about my family. My family tried to kill me for an inheritance. My grandmother left me land and money, and my mother, grandfather, everybody came up against me. They did some weird ass shit. And they put an insurance policy on me. Like, this is how desperate, I'm sure this happens in other nations, but Black people are at white level desperation. They're committing white crimes. Killing somebody for an insurance policy is a white crime. They tried to do me like we was a white family. Okay? And so I've been thinking about that, and I'm like, bro, that has everything to do with white supremacy and capitalism. If my family knew that they were worthy of more than the little money and land that they didn't even know what to do with. I mean, my grandfather didn't need the damn land. My grandfather is 75 years old, and he stole from his 37-year-old granddaughter and 4 grandchildren. Okay? You know what I mean? So and that's something that's ongoing for me. Okay? Like, I have not gotten my redemption from that. But I'm looking at them like, you're doing exactly what the white man does. Like, you're sick. You know what I'm saying? So this world needs reform. And so that's why, you know, we could call it a black and white issue. And I do not like the perspective that I'm hearing about that white people have about black people, and not showing respect or reverence or having a moment of silence for everything that we've been through in this country. You know, I do not like that at all. It's actually hurtful. It's not just, hey from Toronto or hey from Texas. But there's nothing that I can do to change them. Like, so I think another point is that we're not going to rise up and riot like they want us to do so that you can kill us dead in the street and then say it's our fault. We're not going to do that. We know exactly what you want us to do. We've already been through it. We've already got the hoses and the dogs and the guns. Okay? Like, we're good. Okay? But one thing, okay, I'm gonna talk about that question in just a second, Quinn Welch. But, and the thing is about black people is that melanin allows you to have, like, we're part of this collective consciousness. Okay? So, like, we don't even have to say it. Like, one thing about us is, like, black people need to develop their own language, even if it's just like a different dialect of English, which they started doing, which we kind of do naturally, but it's not official and it's not secret enough. But it's like, we need to just start looking at each other like, we don't even need to speak. We know what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And we're connected with the stars. We're connected with the wind. We're connected with the grass. We're connected with the animals. We're connected with the insects. We connect with fairy energy. Okay? The ocean, the moon, the sun. We are connected. And so, like, Spirit knows what's happening to us. Spirit knows that we can endure too. Spirit knows we have the strength to endure. And, but Spirit knows that we're tired. We're tired. You know? So the more of us black people wake up to who we are, we don't have to gather in a tabernacle, you know, not yet at least. We just need to quit smoking, drinking, eat better, put the meat down, all right? Practicing self-love, letting go of that narcissistic energy, you know. We just need to get back to self-love. And that's for anybody. Anybody could take this advice and live a better, happier life, okay? But if I were to speak to my people, I would say, you know, silently better yourself, okay? Get yourself ready for combat. You know, make sure that you have weapons, you know, because it's not so much like, because we want to go kill white people. No, we're not like that. But in the event that somebody comes up to your door, you want to be ready. Or say the elites or the, you know, because, you know, martial law is still a thing. Okay. And, you know, they still have concentration camps that they want to, that's why they want to do, is they want to put us in those concentration camps. And that's probably what they're doing with the Mexicans, is putting them in the homeless. The Mexican and the homeless are going into the concentration camps. So we need to pray for them, because we don't know what the fuck is happening over there. Okay. That's why he's like, oh, we're getting all the homeless off the streets and they need to go into the little huts we made, the concentration camps. Once you're in, you ain't getting out. Okay. So you know, we may have to fight for ourselves. So I think we definitely need to be prepared. But you know, one thing about it is like, we know not the day or the hour. I used to be really paranoid about the end of the world, and I used to have me a go bag. I was one of those prepper types, right? And my go bag was heavy as fuck. I remember my husband being like, girl, you ain't going nowhere with this. I had everything in a rolly suitcase, but that thing was so heavy, like, I had to let it go. Had hella canned foods and shit. Like, yeah. But it made me feel safe at the time. Because I've always kind of had a sixth sense for this shit. And yeah. So Quinn Welch says, isn't black and white, it's the corruption from sin. So this is what I understand about being black and white. Black people were the original people. Okay, whether you say they're from Africa or here, like, you know, we used to all be Pangea at one point. So they say, I don't believe shit that white people say at all. And by white people, I mean the system. I don't believe shit they say about shit anymore. Okay, we all got to really just do some damn research or get into the spirit to know. But, you know, everybody was originally black. There was no such thing as a white person unless they were an albino, and they usually got like cast out. Okay? Like they were chased away, because the thing about it, melanin, is that melanin, like I just said, it connects you to the ethers, and it gives you a pineal gland. See, white scientists didn't even know that the pineal gland had a function, because because in white people it doesn't. It's calcified. It's like a hard rock, you know, while as in black people, it like is juicy and expands, right? When we get in the sun, you look and look at the stars, or not the stars, the sun, which is a star, or you do like, like, I don't know if, you can feel the vibration and you can feel it opening. So mantras, even mudras, which is like, different hand signals, help to open up your pineal gland, okay? Which gives you visions and heightened intuition, heightened senses, right? So if anybody's cursed, it would be white people, because they don't have access to that. But what I've heard, and what I think people are actually agreeing with, is that at some point in time, black people decided to create a different people. Okay. I don't know if they like albino, but somehow they was doing some scientific shit, and like white people were like damn near created in a lab or through some process. And that like they're 4% Neanderthal, which is like they're spliced with monkey and dog. Now, I know that sounds fanatical. You just have to look that up and see. I'm not trying to hate on you. But that's what I believe. I believe that you guys are not 100%. You know, you guys are like, oh, told us we were 3/5 human, but isn't that telling that you guys are more like 3/5 even? Like, what? And you don't see us being hella mean to y'all, okay? But you know why? And Charlie made a very good point that is in alignment with my pineal gland theory, is that he said, I don't believe in empathy. Maybe he doesn't if he didn't have an activated pineal gland and didn't have connection to nature. Okay? That means he don't give a fuck about his kids, his wife, dogs, cats. Okay? He doesn't give a shit about nothing but himself. You know, so he's in more of an animalistic state. Okay? Let's say 85% of white people are kind of in an animalistic state. They're not even really, they can't vibrate higher than a certain level. You know what I mean? Like, Spirit is telling me they can't vibrate higher than the throat chakra. So root, sacral, solar, and they can talk, okay? But I don't know what's going on in this crown area, okay? So, you know, that's my take on, you know, Quinn's question, isn't black and white people a corruption of sin? If anybody is cursed with color, it would be those who lack it. Okay. So, and that's another point that I have as far as black people are the moral standard. We should actually be in charge of the nation, because we are not going to try to kill people. We are not going to try to enslave people. We are not going to try to like create a system that oppresses. We don't need to do that. We're just naturally dominant, strong, powerful. And if you follow our lead, you'll be good. Okay? Now, if you want to look at us in our current state of captivity, what you're experiencing is just what you're seeing about black people and their community and the pain that we have, especially with like, and I don't know if this is sensationalized by the media, but I'm seeing it enough, is that, you know, like mothers killing their children and things of that nature. Low IQ. I just talked about the pineal gland and how white people do not have an active pineal gland, that you cannot even balance your chakras completely. And you think that we have a low IQ? The fact that you can't even understand what I just said is more telling about you. Okay? And so, yeah. And he says, look at Africa. The thing about Africa is it's a beautiful place. Of course there's rural areas, just like there's rural Texas. I be delivering to fucking trailer parks, okay? Which I actually kind of want me. I don't want a trailer, but I would like me a manufactured home, because instead of buying a house, my plan is actually just to purchase the land and then get one of those manufactured houses. I actually like those. You can make them exactly how you want them. I don't need a fucking grand ass castle, or like we can build that later. I want the land. Okay? Because when you own that, when you buy a house, first of all, will you ever own it? Because mortgage and interest rates. And then secondly, you don't own the land. You only own the house. So, yeah, Africa is a beautiful place. If you've ever been there, or if you've actually looked, they have built up cities. They have beautiful everything, to be honest. Like, it's luxurious. It's luxurious there, actually. So they show us the poor side of Africa, because there's nothing wrong with a mud hut. See, the thing is that like, just because people do things different. See, I'm not going to move from my home, the land that I was born in, just because you say that. Do you see how crazy that is? See, in my America, I wouldn't ask people to leave the land they were born in. Okay? So I think that's funny. That it's just more telling of you and how, I don't know, what do you fear? Black people are nice to white people. We've never been the attackers of white people. What are you so afraid of? You know? Anyways, mud huts are just an innovative way of building a home. Okay? They built a shelter. Do you know how to build a mud hut? Because there's a lot of homeless people here in America. Oakland, California, actually all of the Bay Area, if you, and any like real city, but I'm from California, so that's a city that I know. The Ukrainian girl was an isolated event and could have definitely been one of those plants, okay? Just like Charlie was murdered by a random assassination, just like 2 people got hung, the Ukrainian girl is just the same, okay? It could either been an isolated event, because like I said, black people are not just going around killing white people, okay? You know, he could have just been a crazy man, or he could have been someone who's programmed. How do we know that bro man didn't have a chip in him? You know, and they said the magic word. So you got to be aware of that type of stuff. Okay. The mother of that man, the Ukrainian man, or the Ukrainian killer, rest in peace to the girl. She did not deserve to die. Okay. She said that he had mental health issues. Okay, so, and like I said, if I see a crazy black man, he looking angry and frustrated, I don't want to be anywhere near him either, okay? I don't want to be around anybody who's looking crazy and frustrated and on edge, because who knows what the fuck they're gonna do, okay? What about the high school boy got stabbed in the neck at a football game by a black person? So I think what happened with that is that he was a kid who had a pocket knife, got into a fight, and did not necessarily mean to kill him, but I didn't know he was stabbed in the neck. He was stabbed in the neck. We know what happens with the neck wound, you know? So he was honestly just defending himself. Now, is he going to go to prison? Probably. I don't know if he'll get off. You know, I'm not saying that he didn't commit that crime, but he is a child who got into a fight. And that's what it is. And I think that's why black people spent that money, you know, to try to make sure that they can get the lawyers and all that, because it's a high profile ass case, white versus black. Okay, he gonna need the support, or else he's gonna get thrown under the jail at only 17 years old. He didn't deserve to be under the jail. Okay, now in the jail. Okay, but you know, and so I'm not speaking against my own people, but like, we're just gonna have to see, like, where's the tape for that? I think that's the real question. So in our day and age, there was no video footage. There was no video footage to show like exactly what happened, because the thing is that if the boy who died, if he approached him and was like, "Hey bro, fuck you," and they start a fight and he was the one who started the fight, then it is self-defense. You know? If Carmelo Anthony was the aggressor, I bet you that video footage would be everywhere. So, you know, he was just a kid though. That's that's ultimately my my take on that, is that he was a kid and kids make mistakes, and having a pocket knife is not like assault with it's not like a deadly weapon. You know what I'm saying? It's like almost like, you know, it's not like having a gun. He didn't bring a gun to the school. He had a damn pocket knife. Okay? So, that's just my take. So, yeah, and I think that it's like black people put money behind him because we're like, we already know, like, we didn't want to see him go under the jail. Okay? We're like, please, somebody help this 17-year-old kid out because he made a mistake by carrying a knife. But who knows? Maybe he could have died. You know? He could have got punched, hit his head on the concrete, and died too. So who knows? You know, I also am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And yeah, you know, sometimes things happen so other things can happen. Even in the oppression of my people, the liberation, you know, if we were never oppressed, there would be no liberation. There would be no, and the fact that we're all going to give glory to the Most High Power, that's God's glory right there. So, and to God, to the Most High, it's like time is an illusion. Time is not as long. So it's just like, oh, a couple hundred years of oppression. This is the great setup. You know what I'm saying? Because when we get liberated, we gonna be giving all praises to the Most High Power. You ain't gonna be able to shut us up with that. Okay? The Most High might hand us this country. You don't know. Shit, because all it takes is for some other country to invade us and get sick of this shit. You know, and I kind of think that if white people try to like come down hella hard on black people, like, we may get foreign aid. Okay? Because they know. Or like, say they just get sick of white people shit, or United States shit. They ain't coming to kill the blacks. What? They might hand us a motherfucking weapon. All right? They'd be like, you know, if China said, we're done with this, and they come over to invade, they ain't coming for black people. And if anything, they'll be cool with making friends with us so that we can still have trade going on. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, back to one of my main point is how to be empowered. Everybody wants to just live and do their thing. They don't want to be oppressed by others. Okay? So, you keep pressing down. White supremacy is trying to white supremacy has damn near taken over the entire world. Okay? That's why, like, even the original Chinese were darker. Okay? So, like, everybody was dark. Or brown, at least. They didn't have to be dark as hell, but they were at least, like, they were brown. Okay? So, yeah. All praise to the Most High Power. We are grateful. What's the message? What is the message? We are being guided, silent. Everything that you need, crown chakra energy, everything that you need is within you. Connecting with your intuition, your higher self, okay? Yea, do we walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Fear not. Can't answer the BLM question? I didn't see the BLM question. I didn't see the BLM, but I'm channeling now. Black lives do matter. Shit. And the only reason, and all lives matter is literally a rebuttal to Black Lives Matter, which is super rude. Okay? Why can't we have a statement? Nobody was attacking. Nobody tried to do genocide on white people. Okay? Not in this country. And not in the last 500 years. Okay? So, why did you feel like you needed to be included in that so bad, knowing damn fucking well why we were protesting and saying that and trying to say that Black Lives Matter? Because we were being fucking murdered by the fucking police. Not to mention that we just got Jim Crow shit. Ruby Bridges was a first grader, and she's still, when segregation, and she was the first one, and white women and men were, she had to have the National Guard to go to class because that's how insane white people are when it comes to Black people having an opportunity. Okay? So that's where Black Lives Matter, is that white people want to kill us. They don't want to see us as nothing else but their entertainment. Okay? And their workers. Okay? And if you get out of line, boy, we'll kill you. We'll kill you dead. Like, that's the energy y'all be in. Okay? When it in regards to Black people. In regards to whatever your everyday life, I'm sure you guys are nice and because you're fake as fuck. Because if you're like that towards us, you'll be like that towards anybody who you feel like is in your way. White people kill white people all the time. And it was in the damn, it's being spoken about, is that they made a study very recently that showed that white people are committing the most crimes in this country, violent crimes in this country, that they are responsible for domestic terrorism in this country. And then they took it off because they didn't want people to see that. So Black on Black violence is what I have to say. They took it off. They took the study off, but obviously people already saw it. Okay? So yeah, and I don't have to prove anything for you. You have a phone. The same YouTube, just Google it. Just Google it. I wish I could say exactly what the study is called, but it'll come across your news feed if you're watching enough of this stuff. But yeah, it is proven, and you know it. How can Black people be responsible for domestic terrorism? Who are we terrorizing besides each other? Okay? And that's only because we're hungry. Okay? I know I'm not talking, okay? We don't have what we need. And the enslavement on the mind, okay? We're fucked up in the head from white supremacy. Let me tell you about myself. And my experience with white supremacy. I didn't know my hair texture until I was in my 20s, because from the age of 10 years old, it was always permed. Because like I said before, I grew up in predominantly white society in California, Bay Area, and my parents had money. So they felt, you know, proximity to whiteness. That's what we were taught, is that you're better if you're white. So I never even knew the texture of my hair until I became an adult and I did the big chop with the natural girl movement, right? And then I started learning how to take care of my hair, what my hair even looked like. I didn't even know what my hair looked like. You know, they used to always make fun of Black girls because our hair would be short. But if you're straightening it all the time, it just breaks off. And then when you see it in a natural state, our hair shrinks. Our hair can be molded into any shape. It's pretty cool like that. But I didn't know that that was cool until I became an adult, and like beauty standards started to relax. Because in the 90s, having ass, booties were not popular in the 90s. No. Okay. So, and I had another point. Oh, also, I was super whitewashed. I was so whitewashed that when the internet first came out, there were chat rooms. And I'd be in them chat rooms talking about I'm blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Because that was what I thought was beautiful. So instead of being myself, I'm pretending to be a white girl in a chat room. You know what I mean? I actually fooled this guy. I used to talk to him on the phone. He was a radio show host. And I used to call the radio show at night and just chop it up with him. And I told him I was blonde hair, blue-eyed too. And I told him I was a little older than I was too. I was only like 12. Okay. And yeah. Imitating a white girl because I thought I had no understanding whatsoever of the beauty of Blackness. Okay? That was the society. Nobody was blatantly like, Black people are this, blah, blah, blah. Nobody said that, but it was like, nobody said anything good either. I had to become an adult to know that Black people have a rich hair. Black people made the pyramids. Black people freaking, were royals. Black people freaking brought Christopher Columbus to the motherfucking country. Black people are the people in the Bible. Like, I had no clue. Okay. Until the age of YouTube and stuff, to where you can like go and see things that you just, you would have had to read the book. You know what I'm saying? You would have had to come in contact with the information. You know, so now, today, information travels and we don't have to remain ignorant, you know? So that is my experience with white supremacy. And so that's kind of, I was talking about that Black on Black violence, is that is part of the problem, is lack of identity and self-love. Because if we knew who we were, you know, on a mass scale, and we loved who we were, and we weren't ashamed of who we were, and we weren't consciously or subconsciously beat down by the system, we wouldn't be being violent. Not at a high rate. That doesn't mean that there's no crime. We're humans, okay? We're still human. So there's always going to be some level of crime, but it's like the morality of Black people is not low. You know, we're drinking and smoking. You know what I'm saying? the crack epidemic. Okay, so thank you, Spirit. So I'm from Oakland, California, right? Where the Black Panthers were. And the Black Panthers were created to stop police violence. But then they were dismantled. That's why in California, you can't open carry. You have to have a license to have a gun in California, because we know your side. We don't need to hear anything more about white people's side. We know it. It's in the history books, and you show your ass every day. You have control of everything. What side did we not hear? What side did you not get? You have every fucking thing. You're the one who doesn't listen. And I'm talking to you as a collective when I say you. Okay? Because you're actually here listening. So be so fucking for real. Okay? I don't like that ignorant shit about pretending like you didn't hear all of what I just said. All of what I just said about my personal experience about being Black in America. And it's 2025. I'm only 37 years old. I grew up in the 90s. I was born in 88. Okay? And we were rich. It's not a poor person's story. Okay? I have a Freemason family. Military, church, government jobs. So this ain't no bum bitch talking to you. Okay? So, yeah. Oh, now the wise gamer says, I'm assuming you're a white man. Okay, right? Our homelands are no more. We have nowhere to go. Well, we didn't say you had to leave. We said stop killing us. We didn't say you had to leave. Nobody said that. Nobody's pressuring you to go any fucking where. We're saying stop killing people. Stop trying to stand on the necks of others. Okay? Co-create. All right? Oh, well. I mean, I feel like immigrants make the world a better place, honestly. Like, different cultures make the world a better place. Period. We don't need a fucking pure race country. Why? That was weird to me. That's weird to me too. Like, this goes back to minding your own fucking business. You got to get your money up. You got to get your home. You got to get your family. What does that have to do with the next person? You know what I mean? Unless that person is literally standing on your neck. The Mexicans, they were not harming anyone. You know, I'm pissed that you guys deported the Mexicans. You know why? Because now the fruit guys are gone. Okay? You can't get no organic fruit because I'm trying not to get crazy about this because I'm becoming passionate. Okay? Our fucking produce is poisonous. The food in the grocery store is poisonous. So some organic watermelons on the side of the road meant something to me because they don't sell them with the seeds anymore. Watermelon it has a compound called H3O. You can also get it in coconut water. Okay? That hydrates the body even better than H2O, water. So watermelons are literally a superfruit. There's people who went on watermelon fasts this summer where they only ate watermelon or majority watermelon to detoxify their bodies. But if you don't have a seeded watermelon, you're eating a GMO watermelon. And that is a fucking problem. Okay? Bad food is a problem for everyone. Poison, fake food is the reason why we die younger than we need to. We could all make it to 100 if it wasn't for the terrible fucking food. Sugar was not introduced into our diet until the 1900s. We did not eat refined sugar until the 1900s. Now we got diabetes and all these other health issues. Okay? So trying to be too controlling over the resources here in this country is a problem. It's a problem for everyone. White supremacy is mean to Black people, but it's bad for everyone, right? Because they put all this poison shit in the water, but you drink the water too. See, the reason why they put that fluoride in the water is because it does calcify your pineal gland, which is only activated in Black people. But do you think it's healthy for you? No. No. Fluoride is a fucking neurotoxin. Okay? So, wake the fuck up. Okay? Yeah, trying to be too controlling over the resources is a problem. This is why it's like the land should be given back to the natives, or we should have a fair seat, because this is a democracy, and I know it's modern times, right? So it's because under our current control of white supremacy and the effort to keep Black people down because of the fear of Black power, you're destroying the water supply, the food supply, okay, the air with the fucking chemtrails, the plants, the trees, the fucking ozone layer, okay, the ocean. All right, it's not good. And if we don't stop, it's gonna be a doomsday for everybody, including white people. White people can't survive no motherfucking Armageddon. If anything, we'll survive because we're related to the sun. Okay? If they come and fucking level this fucking place, Black people will survive. Now, not all of us, of course, but our bloodline, you know? So, and I have to assume that you're very young. 08. My son is born in 08, actually. Yeah, I have a son born in 08. Senior this year. Baby, you have no... you don't know shit, baby. And I mean that with love. What the fuck do you know about history and life? Nothing. Okay? Not a freaking thing. Okay? So, and to choose a narrow mind, at least be open-minded. Okay? Now that I realize that you're a child, at least be open-minded. It's great to form an opinion. Okay? But you're so young to think you know about the world. And our world, the United States is very corrupt. Okay? They lie. Just like they're trying to take Black history out of the history books, that's telling you a lie. Okay? That's telling you a lie. Okay, that's trying to make you think a certain way, but that's not truth. And that's my thing about Christianity as well, that I'm offended by, is that they taught us Christianity as if it was the truth, the way, the light, the truth. The only way to heaven is through Christianity in this book. It's through Jesus Christ. Baby, that's a lie. First of all, heaven is a state of mind. Heaven or hell is a state of mind, and we live it here on earth. You don't die and go to heaven. When you die, you don't really die. You lose your body, but you go back into some sort of spiritual state where you have an all-knowing. You go back to the collective consciousness, okay? And perhaps if you were in a heaven state when you died, then it would be peaceful when you die. If you're in a hell state when you die, then it won't be, right? And that's just, I don't know, because I've never, well, I died before, because I definitely know that I've been here before, but I don't remember that part. Okay. But that's just what's channeling in. Yeah. The church taught us that it was facts. And as an adult, I realized it was opinion. Okay. So don't let other people's opinions limit you. Okay. Not even mine. You ain't gotta trust what I gotta say. You know? If something triggers you, then figure out why it's triggering you. If Black people being equal and having equal opportunity is a trigger for you, figure out why. What made you feel that way? What made you feel like they shouldn't have an equal opportunity? You know? Animal energy. This is definitely what I was saying, though, about us being connected to the world around us. So it's so much more than this 3D reality. It's we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Now, back to the pineal gland theory. Maybe you guys don't feel the same way we do. Maybe you don't. Because something that I have kind of learned in conversations with my white friends who were really seeking spirit. I'm very spiritual, okay, in everything that I do. And people could see that I have a happy life. Like, I'm, no matter what's going on, I have a high vibration. And so I've had conversations with my white friends where they're like, how are you so spiritually confident? Or like, how do you know? And it's like, how do I know? You can't feel the Lord? You can't feel the Spirit? You don't feel it? Like, I can't explain how I can channel energy. You know what I'm saying? It's just like natural. So maybe you're struggling in that area. There are things that you can do to try to activate your pineal gland if it's calcified, and, you know, through meditation. Harataki is a supplement you can take. I think there's other ones as well, but, you know, perhaps white people have to like do. Somebody just walked in my room. Perhaps white people have to do meditation, or like do certain practices to get to their higher self. Maybe you have to do a little more work, perhaps. But we just tap in. It's like a Black person who's not on drugs, you know what I'm saying? Even when they be on drugs, though, they still be connected, though. They never deny God. You know, maybe trauma, I'm not going to say like every person, right? Maybe trauma will make them be like, God's not real. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, where was he when I was getting pain? But we just like feel the spirit. So like getting in tune with nature, okay? Even an animal. The way I got into energy work was with my dog. I was watching Caesar. I was like trying to learn how to train him. Caesar, the dog guy. I remember him saying, like, you know, you want to walk with your dog on the leash? My dog was pulling on the leash. And it's like, he was saying, it's about energy. It's energy. He kept saying that. This is before I knew shit about energy. And he mentioned in one of his episodes, walk like Cleopatra and see how your dog walks. And so I would take my dog out, and then I'd get in this energy of Cleopatra. And then my dog would walk, he wouldn't pull, it was cool. So I was like, that's how I kind of got into energy. And like, but I can't help you. I cannot give you instructions on how you embody an energy, you know? Because it's not just like, I think I'm Cleopatra. No, you become Cleopatra. So I can't really articulate how to do that because it's natural for me. And I think it's natural for most black people. Um, revolution, baby. The world is changing. The world is changing. And I like how it has this sorcery energy on here because, baby, black people is doing their voodoo hoodoo on this situation. Oh, you thought we was just sitting back being complacent? No, we didn't lit our candles. That's why I say I done stopped smoking. I done stopped eating meat. That's called a sacrifice. Okay? I'm setting my intention. I say my prayer twice daily. That's called a ritual. Okay? So we doing our fucking magic on the situation. We are communicating in the spirit about what's been going on. We don't want to see any of our people get hurt. We want fucking change, man. We know that if we try to go out into the streets, then if we try to go out into the streets, they'll fucking mow us down or put us in those concentration camps. We're not stupid. We don't have low IQ. Okay? That statement that Charlie made about black women not having the processing ability, lame. He don't even got an active pineal gland. He can't even channel a message like I'm doing. He can't even pray and it reach God. And if he was a real man of God, God would not have let him get clapped like he did. Real ass shit. If he had God in him. So that was one of the most offensive things that he said for me was black women don't have the processing ability to be next to him and have conversation. That motherfucker didn't even graduate college. He got rich off his YouTube channel, something that thousands of people do. Okay? He was not a political figure. He just talked that shit in alignment with Trump. What did I just say about what? I said a lot. I was talking the whole time. Oh, about Charlie saying that black people or black women particularly did not have the brain processing ability to have a conversation with him or be in power or deserve to be able to speak. So Charlie was not Jesus. Jesus went, you know what? If Charlie was Jesus, Charlie would have went to the black community, sat and listened and gave and helped. That's the type of man that Jesus was. And his name was Yeshua. If we're going to speak on that Jesus is not even his name. Jesus means Hail Zeus. Okay? So that's how much of a fucking liar that the Christian church is. Okay? Yeshua HaMashiach is how you say that in Hebrew. Okay? So, yeah. Jesus was a righteous man who spent his life traveling and helping others, and he was not going to the rich and kicking it. Okay? Caesar is the one who killed him. He was not saying, "Oh, hail Caesar." Okay? Jesus Christ is king to you. Because that's all. See, and that's another thing about white people and their pineal glands. See, like I said, black people, we're connected to nature. Okay? Now, our minds may be colonized and we may funnel that shit through Christianity. But if you go to a black church, it's very different from a white church. We be hooping and hollering, dancing, singing, praising, falling out. Okay? Okay? No, not like monkeys, like people who can actually feel the spirit. So people who actually have a vibration. Okay? We actually enjoy that. The thing that you're making fun of, us, the way that we laugh and dance and celebrate, we enjoy that. We're not doing it because we're dumb. We're doing it because it's fun and it feels good. And you guys can't feel. Okay? Since you want to be disrespectful. White people can't even feel. Okay? Not to the degree that we can. So you might need to work on that. And you made a mention, you said that you guys don't have anywhere to go. I've never heard a white person say, like, we don't have our homeland. We have no place to go. The Caucasus Mountains are not occupied, first of all. Go build up a fucking civilization in there. Because honestly, you guys aren't even supposed to be out in the sun like that. It's not healthy for you. Y'all need to, there's mountains. I have a point. See, telling white people the truth about who they are and where they come from is not to hurt white people. Okay, we might like to take a little jab because of everything we've been through, right? But it's actually not hurting white people. It actually is enlightening you. Then you can make a more informed decision about how you want to proceed. If you understand that you don't have hair, you have fur, then you can create the proper products for fur. Okay? The fact that you really cannot tolerate the sun and realizing, like, look, the sun is killing us, then you could choose to live in climates that are not so hot. Okay? So it's not even, you can evolve and do better for yourself, be more comfortable, and grow. Because the thing is that, like, we're still doing everything for everybody. This country runs off the backs of people going to work every day. You know, so it's kind of like you're enslaved here too. Okay, you're an 08er, so when you graduate and you get your ass a job, you gonna see this shit sucks. Okay? My son has a job. He was born in 08, and he likes it because he ain't gotta pay no bills. But when you gotta pay some bills, whew, pain. Okay? So yeah, you guys understanding that you're not superior, okay, and that you're actually genetically inferior, then you can just adjust yourself, okay? And do what comes natural to you. Yeah, okay, well, good. And since you're still a kid, I'm glad that you get to spend, you know, I'm sure you get to spend your money the way you want to, like my son does, right? But when you have to pay bills, it's amazing how much money I make, but don't see it. Shit. I seen one of my bank statements. I said, where? How? It's not cute. Mm-mm. Tolerance, sobriety. This is my sobriety card. So I made a post recently and I said, Black people need to remain sober at this time. It's very important because that throws us off when we're, you know, smoking, drinking, especially any other type of drug, even on the medication, but even the things that we consume. I think that we need to sober up from all this social media too, you know, because I ain't had no problem with nobody up until a few days ago. I was fine. Now they done activated my revolutionary spirit, and I want to kick some ass, and I'm making changes within myself because I'm not a pretender. I'm not an internet. I'm not a keyboard warrior. You see, I'm showing my face. Okay, I'm actually very serious about my work. I'm just freestyling, so I don't have any like talking points. I'm just sharing it, and I'm emotional about the state of the world. But we need to sober up from other people's opinions and formulate our own. Let me get this straight. I love all races equally. I just believe that we all need to be separated. Is that what you're saying to me? I don't think that we need to be separated. I enjoy Mexican food and Chinese food. Period. Okay? And I like my white friends. I don't dislike them. They're funny. Honestly, I feel like white people are mean. They're mean to me. They're mean. You guys have a weird undertone, but I think it's because you know that you guys are like, if you don't, that's all you got is your guns and your money, you know? But no, I don't actually feel like we need to be separated. I think that this is our land here. Okay? This is ours. We were lied to, so I want the truth. I want the lie of white supremacy to be dismantled. And say, you people, you melanated beings, you are strong, you are powerful. Thank you so much for hosting us here. We are sorry for the way we treated you. We understand that our Neanderthal blood makes us animalistic and cruel, and we're going to track that. That's another point that I wanted to say, is that white people understanding that their pineal glands are calcified is important, because then you can do things to actively open it, right? Then you know that, okay, you have to practice your meditations. And then you can also like implement it into the society where you check yourself. You know that you have a tendency to get afraid, you know, when a Black person comes around, not because of prior negative experiences, but because it's an innate fear that a stronger being is in your realm. Okay? So it's like, if you knew that about yourself, you wouldn't be so triggered, you know? Justice will be served, no matter if you like it or not. And nobody can do anything about the past. I am not condemning any brand newbie to the world, condemning you for the past. But if you choose to be on the negative side, if you choose to make hate your answer, you're going to receive that back. The scales always balance themselves out. So choose love. You know, if you don't have anything nice to say, just shh. Shh. Be quiet. You know, if you you know, white people could definitely learn to say, I hear you and thank you for sharing, instead of rebuttaling our pain. Oh, you know, we were slaves too. No. Okay, not the way we were. Not the way we were in this country. Hey, no, when other nations enslaved others, they were still treated as human beings. Okay? We were treated as chattel. So, and we were human beings. Okay? We are human. Okay? Fully. And one thing that white people can be glad for is that we are kind of mixed. You know, nobody's 100% pure, so perhaps you do got an ancestor you can connect with. You know, I never hear white people talk about their ancestors or calling on them like we do. I understand why, though. Because you're not connected. Most aren't. There may be some who are. But most are not connected to the spirit at all. And that is why it's so easy for white people to be so cruel. So, I'm going to go ahead and end this. Thank you for being here. Now, my last statement is, this was for educational purposes and not to hurt anybody.